Today is Tuesday, September 8th, 2020. This is the Westwood Select Board. The time is now 5 p.m. We are conducting this meeting via remote participation pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 23rd, 2020 emergency order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting will be conducted via remote participation by the board. This meeting will be live streamed by Westwood Media Center, and the public can view the meeting on their website. Our government channel will be broadcasting this meeting on Comcast Channel 12 and Verizon Channel 42. The public is encouraged to watch our meeting via Westwood Media Center or to join via Zoom webinar and participate via the question and answer functionality. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access this proceeding via technological means. So we are happy that you can join us. I'm going to jump into a really positive story, and we're joined this evening by Amy and Keith and Laurel Barnett. And Laurel, who I believe is a rising senior at Westwood High, has conducted some community service, and the board wanted to take some time tonight and recognize that. We will be signing a commendation in honor of Laurel for earning the highest award in Girl Scouting, and this is the Girl Scout Gold Award. Laurel is a rising senior at Westwood High, as I mentioned. Laurel created a music program entitled Music Matters for the Westwood Council on Aging, which began in person and was then transitioned to virtual programming due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Laurel coordinated with the Council on Aging to provide lectures on various music topics, composers, and movie scores. Laurel was planning to take a group from the Council on Aging to see the New England Conservatory's Youth Symphony, but unfortunately with the COVID pandemic, and these plans were canceled. Not to be discouraged or dismayed, Laurel created a YouTube channel with videos of musical performances and a recording of lectures from a conductor of youth and professional orchestras. The videos were a huge hit for the seniors, as the goal of her Music Matters program was to provide stimulation, social interaction, enhance moods, and promote relaxation. This is just overwhelming just reading this. I can only imagine how much work this was. Arena DeRosa, our Council on Aging Director, sent a comment in just to mention the true appreciation and enjoyment that Laurel provided for her Gold Star project. All of the music programs were sold out, as well as the highly anticipated trip to hear the youth orchestra in Boston. Unfortunately, with COVID, that could not happen, but Laurel was creative enough and pivoted by recording her programs and putting them on cable. We are truly thankful to have been part of her Gold Star work. And Music Matters can be found on YouTube by searching on Music Matters. So Laurel and Amy and Keith, first, thank you all very much. And we often at our meetings are fortunate enough to see all of the work and the selfless acts that people throughout Westwood commit themselves to make this such a great community. So this really is a big deal for us to see this, and I'm sure it is for you too, Laurel, and it'll be an event that you remember forever. Suzanne, thanks for joining us. We just went through a little reading on Laurel's accomplishments. So Laurel, thank you for all you've done. And I know Nancy and Michael want to say a few words as well.
Well, gosh, I'm going to start because Amy, didn't I meet Laurel a few years ago? She looked a lot younger then.
You've met Laurel, but you also met her younger sister and their troupe when they did their bronze project.
Oh, I thought maybe she was part. Okay, so it was your sister. So she's going to be before us at some point, I'm guessing.
they look a lot alike. So.
Okay, Laurel, I just want to congratulate you and to have the wherewithal to take such a valuable program and then adjust during COVID and still deliver something that was meaningful is really outstanding. So thank you so much, and congratulations to you for getting the Gold Award. That's something not many young women attempt to achieve. So the fact that you've done it and done it so successfully is just so impressive. So way to go.
Laurel, congratulations, Laurel. Obviously, through these trying times, people rise to the top. And so despite COVID, you didn't let that happen. So congratulations. It's a great thing. It's a special honor, as you know. So it's I'm sure you worked really hard for it. So nothing but congratulations for you. So especially to mom and dad too, because I know you couldn't do it without their support. And so we always recognize the parents who are right behind you, making sure that good things happen. So congratulations to your parents as well as you.
Laurel, we have a commendation to recognize you for receiving the Girl Scouts Gold Award for your creation and implementation of a music program at the Council on Aging, and we will get this to you. And in all sincerity, thank you. It's these little acts that make Westwood such a great place. So I don't know if you want to add anything, Laurel. I don't want to put you on the spot, but it's a big accomplishment. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Well, thank you very much for having us this evening. I was really thrilled to be able to conduct this project this year. Lena Arena DeRosa at the Senior Center has been a great mentor, and I've learned a lot working with her. And in addition, so many students have stepped up this last spring. When the pandemic hit, we had to transition the Music Matters program to online. So I created a YouTube channel and talked to some local students at Westwood High School in the Music Honor Society and at other local high schools who were very kind in volunteering their time and making videos, which were on the YouTube channel and which Westwood Media Center showed. And our lecturers, Mr. Richard Travers, who's a voice teacher in Westwood, Mr. John Clark, who is a saxophonist who's a saxophone teacher in Westwood and also a jazz clarinetist in his Wolverine Jazz Trio, and Mr. Stephen Karadianis, who is my youth orchestra conductor at New England Conservatory, were all very generous, volunteering their time as well to lecture and make videos.
Great, thank you. And Suzanne, thank you for your leadership. I know it was your guidance that helped. I don't know if you want to add anything.
Hi, I just thank you so much to the select board and Mr. Coleman, our town administrator, for recognizing our girls every time, and it doesn't happen often. That's one thing I do want to point out. These gold award recipients are few and far between, but every time I've reached out to you, you've been amazing to deal with, so responsive. And I think it's so wonderful to hear how much the group appreciates the sort of seriousness of this award. And Laurel, thank you. You flew under the radar, I have to say. It took a little bit of digging around Westwood to find out that you had won the award. So thank you so much. Just as typical Girl Scouts, they tend to do the good deed and do the great work, but aren't out there looking for it. So I'm happy to bring these girls to your attention when the time comes.
Yeah, keep doing that. So thank you all very much. And you're all obviously welcome to stay. We're going to talk about all sorts of interesting things. So we're going to move on, but thank you very much.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
Laurel.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So we want to keep the town appraised of the new alert notification system and powered by Smart 911. This will replace the current Code Red system. The benefits to the town include cost savings. This new system is more effective, ability to post multiple resources simultaneously, such as phone, email, text, social media, and roadside message boards, easier to manage internally, and ability to generate reporting to better serve the public. Residents can choose which notifications they would like to receive and their preferred method of delivery via text, landline, cell phone, or email. Ability to make notifications to all town staff by department or building. And so what does this mean for the average resident? Listed landline telephone numbers have been automatically added to the new Alert Westwood system, but no other information in the town's current notification system will be transferred. To continue to receive any community notifications, such as COVID-19 updates, road construction alerts, election information, residents need to sign up for Alert Westwood. We would really encourage you to do so. Many Westwood residents have received an email or phone call last week asking to sign up for Alert Westwood. This is the town's first push to ask residents to sign up. You can sign up by going to the town's website, townhall.westwood.ma.us, and follow the steps to sign up. You can also call Brian Camp, who's with us this evening, at 781-320-1095, 781-320-1095, or Tish Healy at Town Hall. Brian, is there anything you want to add? Anything I've missed?
No, I think you've hit every bullet that we had. It's just really important that people sign up sooner than later. The system does go live starting tomorrow. So we will start using that to send out notifications, and our old system will no longer be in use. So if you really want to receive those messages, it's vital that you sign up, create a profile. You can go really deep into creating your profile with pictures of your dogs, your type of car, or you can go very minimal with your email address, landline phone, cell phone, really as much information as you want to give. So if you don't feel comfortable with Big Brother getting your information, you can really put the minimum amount of information and you'll still receive the notifications.
Why is that information asked for, Brian? All the additional?
So we do have the option to pull information if there's a major storm. We can pull information such as age brackets, people with disabilities, people that we can pull all those residents and see it on a sheet, and then the fire department can use that to check on them, make sure that they don't need anything extra that regular residents are all set with. So it allows us to identify certain populations that have medical conditions or other issues.
Is that explained? I haven't signed up yet. Is it explained why that information is being asked for? Or is it just asked?
It's hard for me to answer because I went through the whole sales pitch and everything, so I know all the information. Anybody else that signed up, did you have any issues with that?
No, it's pretty
I'm just
straightforward.
wondering if it explained why. Michael, did it explain that?
It didn't. It just asked, and it was just another tab to open if you wanted to open it. So it doesn't really say why they're asking, but it's there. If you want to fill it out, you fill it out. But a couple of things I left it blank, and it didn't matter. So screen just.
Yeah, I just think if there's a useful purpose, it should be explained what information you may want to provide if it would be helpful for public safety. I don't think you really want the message to be this is Big Brother. It's really to help and get information out. I know you were joking, but some people might take it seriously.
Right.
I think of my 91-year-old mother in another community. It would be helpful if people knew that she was there and might have special needs if there was a flood or something, or major storm event. But she wouldn't know that. She would say, I'm not going to give that information. So I'm going into this because I just think it'd be helpful if people know that there may be information they want others to have, so it can be useful in serving them.
Right, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, we can add that as we start to submit more information out to the public. We have an FAQ on the website. We could add that to the website.
That might be good. Yeah.
Add that.
Yeah.
And we're also working, maybe do a PSA with Western Media Center. So there's some things we could add to that as well.
Good idea. Thank you.
Brian, are you seeing a good proportion of people switching over though from Code Red?
Yeah, last time I checked before I came upstairs here, we were at over 1,200 new signups, and it's only been advertised for less than a week, so
that's good.
Positive about.
Okay, we'll keep spreading the word.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I think just to follow up on what one of the things Brian said and what Select Board Member Hyde was commenting on, the additional information really is to allow public safety to dive down into certain matters. So if there are specific matters that are happening in that area, and that's something helpful for emergency personnel to have that information as they're responding, it only speeds up their response and their work once they arrive on the scene. But again, it's not required. People will still receive the same information as far as the emails regarding different notifications that the town puts out. If they provide their email address, they can receive it as a text message, and or they can also receive it on their landline.
Great. Okay. Anything else for anybody? Okay. Moving on to scheduled action. Oh, Tish. Okay.
Nope.
All right. So Sassy Boutique on High Street is looking for some outdoor space for some sales. Nora, do you want to just add a little bit of color?
Sure. So Sassy Boutique is trying to assist its customers with some socially distanced, appropriate outdoor display. They want to have an outdoor sale on September 11th and 12th, and they would set up racks in parking spots, 4 rolling racks between Sassy's and McCracken Automotive. They'd close off 2 parking spaces for an area that would be kind of a waiting spot for people looking to go into that area to shop. They would have orange cones and wooden construction horses, as well as planters surrounding that to keep it safe from the other parking spaces in the travel area. The racks will be placed 6 feet apart, and only 4 shoppers would be allowed into the area at any one time. So it's an attempt to keep it safe for their employees, allow them to shop at a local business, as many of us are dying to do, but to do it in a way that's outdoors and people will feel comfortable with. They'll also have directional arrows in the area to help people know which way to go. They'll require masks at all times. They'll have hand sanitizer available, and they'll also be sanitizing the credit card reader at checkout. So it's a 2-day event that they're planning. And it's been reviewed by the police department, fire department, building division, and health division, all of whom have signed off on the setup, subject to the select board granting this approval. It's for a temporary operation, which is something that we're looking at during the pandemic, something that is not a clear direction that the town has in its bylaws already. You can remember we had done a couple of these at BB's Cafe, and we had outdoor seating allowed at Kiara recently that we went through a different procedure. Well, the procedure for restaurants that have alcohol licenses is clearly spelled out by the state in some special legislation, but there's nothing that's very clear on outdoor sales and display. It's kind of a gray area. So we're trying to be as proactive as possible and offer our businesses what they need to stay in business and serve their customers. And we're hoping the select board can establish the process by just setting forth the parameters under which these type of sales would be allowed, rather than allowing a free-for-all.
Great. I'm good with it. I don't have any questions, Michael or Nancy. I don't know if you have anything. And there is someone from Sassy online if there's any questions.
Yeah, I just want to say that Sassy's has been doing a great job at trying to sustain its business model during the pandemic, and they have, by my observations, done everything very well to have a safe and welcoming operation. They did a lot for curbside pickup, and I just think they're being very smart and creative, and I fully support this and wish them a very successful weekend.
I just wish we could do something about the weather. It looks like it's supposed to rain on Friday, but we'll hope that the forecasters are wrong as usual. So
Yeah.
good luck Friday and Saturday.
If I can just jump in. Hi, I'm Anna. I'm the owner of Sassy. So thank you. The dates were wrong. It's actually going to be Sunday and Monday. So I just want to make sure if that's still okay. And I chose Sunday just because McCracken will be closed. So it's just a good day where there's not a lot of traffic around as well.
So it's 13 and 14.
Yes, thank you.
And the hours are the same?
Yes, the hours will be the same.
Nora, do you have any questions about that change?
No, I think those hours are fine as well. The concern that we have all the land use departments take a look at this, it has to do more with the setup and the safety of it.
Yes.
So I think everything works fine. And I commend Anna on coming and asking permission to do this rather than just setting up sales, because our bylaws just aren't all that clear.
Anna, does the property owner know that it's Sunday and Monday instead?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I think it was just a typo on one end, but that was the original proposal. I did send in his permission, written permission by Phil Ramo.
Yeah.
He supports it. I did speak with McCracken, so they're all set too. And I just want to add that it was recommended that I get a commercial tent. I was not allowed to have a pop-up tent, so I just got confirmation about a commercial tent that will be delivered.
Oh, great.
Okay, so we can have, if it rains, we'll be okay. And no one will be trying on any clothes. The whole premise is to keep everybody outside and only like 4 people at a time underneath the tent. No one is walking into the store because I do not want to do any, contamination at all. Like I don't want to have a flux of people inside. So
And they can park on the side street?
Yeah, they'll park on the side street. My staff will probably park on the grass so we can have more open spaces.
Good.
Yeah, usually Phil's okay with that.
Just one comment on the tent. Commercial tent providers know to do this, but you just want to keep it in mind that they need to apply for a building permit just to make sure that the tent is fire retardant.
Oh, they do? Okay.
They do. They need to,
Thank you.
it's just a quick and easy, they fill out an application online and the permit is issued immediately as long as they have their insurance and their fire retardant statement.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for bringing that up.
That's standard operating procedure, right, Nora?
It is for all tents in town.
It's just good for me to know that too.
Yes.
Just to make sure I'm dealing with someone who knows what they're doing.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay. I move that you ready, Jen? Okay. I move we grant approval of Sassy Boutique's temporary use of outdoor space application to hold an outdoor sale on September 13th and September 14th, Sunday and Monday, each day from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
I'll second.
Okay, Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Okay, thank you.
We'll all be by. You guys can buy for your wives.
Okay, we're on to Lifetime Fitness, temporary use of outdoor space for exercise classes. And I know we are joined by Scott Ferguson
Yes.
from Lifetime. Okay, so Nora, I'll let you kind of describe it.
Very similar. Thank you, Scott, for bringing this to our attention, that you have this need, and we'll bring it to the select board, hopefully to be able to fill this. Scott is looking to have outdoor classes, such as studio and yoga classes in the parking lot. They would allow greater member participation and better social distancing. They take up 6 parking spaces. Each class would be limited to a maximum of 25 participants. It would be steel barricades that'll be around the area where they'll have these classes to protect them from the traffic that comes through the parking lot. Registration will be required. There'll be a club card swipe in the area when you walk in. You actually go into the front desk, swipe, and then go to the class. There'll be attendance taken at the classes, and whenever anyone registers, they'll receive the information about social distancing. Mask will be required at all times. And they're looking to hold these classes between 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. and to do so for the next about month and a half. So in this case, I'd request that the select board, much like our restaurant outdoor seating, grant an approval that goes through October. And we'll just hope for great weather through the duration of the month.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't have any issues, Michael and Nancy. I wish you the best, Scott. I know these are trying times.
Yeah, we got to get creative.
Scott,
So
will
now
you
on
have to
this
do
application-
contact tracing?
This application was reviewed by both the building commissioner and the health director, and both have signed off. We're still waiting for sign-offs from fire and police. So if the board is willing to grant this, I ask that you just make it subject to sign off by police and fire departments.
Great.
My question pertains to face masks, and I can anticipate, just based on people's behavior in general, that people will want to remove their face masks. So how will you enforce that so that the class can continue? Because I think, I think at least I recall reading that was a requirement you had of the participants.
Yeah, well, candidly, I'm not an expert on the local COVID guidelines on all 155 of our clubs throughout the country. But whatever the local mandates are, they will have to be followed. And if that's required here in Massachusetts, then it's a requirement to participate in the class.
Nora?
So in Massachusetts, we require masks whenever you're within 6 feet of another individual. And I think for your yoga setup, you are planning to have the mats spaced a minimum of 6 feet apart.
Correct.
So I think the requirement would be that masks be worn into and out of the site, and at any time the participants are within 6 feet of another individual. The further you can separate those yoga mats, the better. But
Correct.
no one can finish their yoga and walk through the site without putting their face mask on.
Understood.
And just being practical, if they have them off, to think that they won't be within 6 feet of each other at times is wishful thinking. So Scott, I would just say, putting safety above all else, you might want to err on the side of caution.
Of course.
And require them at all times.
Yeah, but I can also imagine it's probably not what people want to be doing. So it's very hard if you can space it further, but have it be absolutely clear to people that they don't want to be getting close if they don't have their masks on. With yoga, you're moving, and there's a lot of different positioning, and I just want people to be safe and healthy. So I think you have to work with your management team and make a determination on if you think you really can maintain the 6 feet. And if there's any doubt, then you should have everybody wear the masks.
Sure. So just for some background information, we have a 400 and some odd page protocol for maintaining COVID mandates. And one of the things we do with our group fitness classes is provide markers on the floors inside, and also if, for example, in a yoga class, the mats are already laid out prior to the class, and if there is any equipment like hand weights or kettlebells or whatever, those items they're sanitized and they're placed adjacent to the mats that are socially distanced, right? And then the members, then once the class is over, they leave, so they're not picking up everybody's mats and helping pick up stuff. And then that's what the team members' responsibilities are, is to disinfect that stuff and clean it up and get it prepared for the next class. So I think the area that we're requesting, what was it, plus or minus 1,500 square feet, I can't really recall the number, but that does allow 25 people to participate at spacing greater than 6 feet.
And please understand, I like the idea of you're doing this and trying to be creative. So just emphasis on execution, making sure people are maintaining that. Thanks, Scott.
Michael, anything?
No, nothing else.
Okay, I move that we grant approval of Lifetime's temporary use of outdoor space application to hold outdoor exercise classes between the hours of 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. through the end of October 2020, contingent upon Public Safety Department reviews and approvals.
I'll second.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Walsh?
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So best of luck, Scott.
Hey, thank you. And then for a pragmatic question, so I should receive either comments or approvals from the fire department and the police department via the online application?
Yes, they'll be there.
Okay.
They'll be in the online portal, and Karen Flynn will also get in touch with you to tell you that it's been finally approved.
And then
Karen Flynn, who's our licensing agent, she'll get in touch with you to let you know that it's been approved.
Got ya. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much for hearing.
Take care, Scott.
All
Thanks,
right.
Scott.
Good luck.
Good night.
Okay, Nora, Amazon warehouse.
Okay.
My awaited update.
Yep. So we had 2 meetings last week. We met with representatives from National Development and Amazon on, I believe it was the 2nd. And then we had a second meeting with those representatives and with 4 representatives of the Everett, Forbes, Canton Street and Strasser Avenue neighborhood to discuss all the issues. And I think that we came to the conclusion that the best way to start off an update to the board would be with a description of the operations. So we have Michael Kelleher and Brad Griggs here from Amazon, and they can begin by describing how they envision the site on Everett Street in Norwood operating, and take any questions that you have, and then we can go from there.
Perfect. Thank you. Welcome, Michael and Brad.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So by way of introduction, my name is Brad Griggs. I'm a senior manager on Amazon's Economic Development Group. I cover our Northeast and Mid-Atlantic regions. I'm joined tonight by Michael Kelleher. Michael, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we can describe the project in Norwood.
Yes, I'm Michael Kelleher. I'm a senior program manager for entitlements in the New England and New York region for Amazon, working with the towns on entitlement issues and helping everyone move forward on these projects. So I'll hand it over to Brad to talk about our operations.
So my understanding is that we have been able to share with you a site plan drawing. Are you able to put that up on the screen?
I can do that. If not, I have it ready.
I don't.
Ish, do you have that, or should they do it themselves?
I could pull it unless he has it right there. I'd have to just.
I have it right here.
Right.
I just have to be. It says disabled participant sharing screen right now.
You know, Michael and Brad, I think what was helpful for me during this conversation, though, was even before you look at the site plan, was just this overall strategy of the final miles that a package makes. This was part of a bigger plan nationally. My understanding was the final miles that a package takes, why these sites are important. So maybe if you just kind of start a little higher up.
Sure. So yeah, as you let either we find the plan, or if you let Michael have the ability, I can start with that process. So as many of you are probably familiar with Amazon and purchasing goods from our website or from the app, essentially products are stored in our larger fulfillment centers, like the one, say, in Fall River, or the newest one that hopefully will be coming to North Andover in the northern part of the state. Projects come into those large fulfillment centers all throughout North America. They are stored as inventory, go live on Amazon.com. And then as you purchase that product, it is packed and shipped in an Amazon box or envelope to your door. And it may have several stops along the way, but eventually it will end up at a last mile facility, either like the one that is on the screen right now, or at one of our third-party providers, such as UPS or the United States Postal Service. So as you order a product, it may come from any of our fulfillment centers throughout North America. It will head closer and closer to your doorstep. It may go through a sortation center, may get on an airplane, but eventually it's going to end up on an 18-wheeler tractor trailer heading to one of, like I said, a variety of last mile sites like the one on the screen. So effectively, what the package is, getting closer and closer to your doorstep, it's going to arrive at your site. And so, it may come from a fulfillment center in the Commonwealth. It may come from one in the Northeast, or depending on what may get that product fastest to you, it may come from, even somewhere as far away as Arizona or California. And so as that product is getting closer and closer to your doorstep, we've realized that we want to be able to facilitate the quality and be able to know that we're delivering on the time components and time promises that we make as Amazon with our customer focus. As a business providing essential service, it's paramount for us to be able to meet our customers' needs. And so adding more of these last mile delivery stations allows us to have better control over an understanding of when we're going to be able to deliver our products to our customers. And so with that in mind, these sort of last mile delivery stations allow us to be much more efficient by getting these products closer to where our customers are located. And so with the color-coded diagram there in front of you, what we have here is the 18-wheeler tractor trailers will come onto the site during the overnight period. Most of the year, that's going to be, maybe 10 or fewer. There are certain sites that get a little bit more than that during the overnight period, but that's about what we would expect. Starting at about midnight till roughly 6 or 7 a.m. is when those tractor trailers will be coming on site. They'll be coming into the red area on the right-hand side of the facility. You can see the loading area there is well delineated, with it coming in off the street there, pulling in on Everett Street, making the left in and heading into the site. Our associates are parking in the yellow area. So our Amazon associates, which is a mix of full-time and part-time employees, will be coming in their personal vehicles predominantly during the same overnight period. So they'll be coming around and parking in that designated area to the back of the facility. They come in, they unload the 18-wheelers. There'll be a conveyance system inside of the building that allows us to move the products through and stage it in the delivery routes. So those will be broken down by zip code. These facilities each serve about a 45-minute drive time around this facility. So it will not just be, Westwood and Norwood and the surrounding communities, but about a 45-minute drive time. Now, it's not an exact circle. It's going to be dictated by capacity and where those drive times get them to by site. And then as we add more locations throughout the Commonwealth, those coverage maps are going to shift as other locations come online. So during that overnight period, the tractor trailers are unloaded. They are broken down and sorted into delivery routes. So the packages are placed into what looks like large, sort of almost like hockey equipment bags, placed on the baker's racks and set up for the delivery cycle periods that later that morning. Beginning at about 9:30, so somewhere between 9:15 and 9:30, the first van drivers come on site. And there are 20 vans per wave, and they are parked overnight in the blue area. So during the night time, that blue area will be full of Amazon branded vans in that area there marked in blue. There's that area in pink, that is the initial parking area for the van drivers. So the van drivers between 9:15 and 9:30, the first 20 of those will drive on site in their personal vehicles or come via public transportation. They will arrive, they will park in that pink area as the buffer zone. We will have a yard marshal in the yard who then greets them, gives them their keys to their van for the morning. And then they drive from the blue area into the green area alongside of the building and begin loading. So from 9:30 to about 10, that first wave of 20 drivers is loading their vans alongside of one Amazon associate. Beginning at about 9:30 to 9:45, the second wave of van drivers come on site and park their personal vehicles. So now we've had 20 vans leave the blue area and drive into the green, and another 20 vans leave the blue area and drive into the purple. They will park there and wait. And then as the first wave of vans exit, that'll happen about 10 a.m. So the first wave of 20 vans leave the site. Now they do not leave, there's no like whistle and all 20 leave. As each site is, or as each van is loaded, they exit the facility. So they're able to exit, as their vans are filled in order to help accommodate the timing. And then as their spot opens up, the van backfills them and so on and so forth. So what you'll see is as the morning repeats itself and the vans exit the facility, the parking lot will shift from previously parked vans to the van driver's personal vehicles. And that cycle will repeat itself until basically around 11:30 to 12:30, depending on the day's capacity. So it'll be 20 vans exiting the site about every 20 to 30 minutes heading out of this location. At which point the site will go quiet for several hours. And then at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, we have what we refer to as our Amazon Flex program. It's essentially a Uber or Lyft, but for Amazon packages. So instead of picking up people, they pick up Amazon packages at the delivery station. And that's due to the fact that we can't always account for all of the 18-wheelers coming during the overnight period. There may be about 1 to 3 tractor trailers that come during the day. And as a result of what that allows for, it gives us the ability to have prime same-day shipping in the vicinity of this site, and also to meet the capacity on the traditional prime 1-day and 2-day shipping. So those flex drivers sign up, they're registered drivers in the Commonwealth, they have insurance, they have to sign up through the Amazon Flex app. They are given a designated time to arrive at the site in the afternoon, usually around 2:30 is the first wave of those drivers. They will drive their personal vehicles onto the site, drive up and around and into the loading zone. Similarly, they would be in the staging zone for the second wave. We would anticipate no more than, I would say, 3 to 4 of those waves in the afternoon, starting at 2:30. Again, those personal vehicles are exiting. They do not return to the site. So you would look, you'd say, all right, Amazon needs me at 3 o'clock today. I'm going to drive up. They load about 80 to 100 packages in their personal vehicle, head out on their delivery route, and then do not return unless they have an undeliverable package, which is very rare. That would be the only reason a flex driver would return to the site, is to drop that undeliverable package off. So now we've gotten to the evening period. Starting at about 7 p.m., the first wave of van drivers return to the site. So again, just like there was a buffer for the personal spaces, there's now a buffer for the returning vans. So the vans will park, they will go through they will drive through, they will go through their safety check, and then they will park, they will get back in their personal vehicle, and they will leave in that sort of 20 personal vehicle wave like they went out in the morning. And again, that process repeats itself where now the personal vehicles are exiting between 7 and about 10:30, and then the vans are being parked back on site. So I think that gives you a sense of how this location will operate in sort of an efficient, coordinated manner, with the waves feathering in and out of the location during the morning and then returning in the evening. So happy to answer any questions around the operations of the site and what we're going to be doing there in Norwood.
Nora, do you want to talk about any data you're waiting on regarding traffic issues?
Yeah, so we had requested an update of the traffic study, which we received late last week, and I believe that was sent to you. That update recognized the beta counts that have been taken over the years, showing the split of traffic going straight up Everett to Canton Street, and then other traffic that veers off Everett Street and goes up Forbes Street to go north on Canton Street. So we asked that they, the Amazon's traffic consultant take a look at that to break out the traffic that they have instead of just assuming it would all go up Everett Street. They've done that. They've also given us a narrative to explain why they believe it is that the number of vehicles that are going either up Everett Street or Forbes in either direction will be very limited in nature. So they discussed that the traffic is only going to be employee vehicle traffic and traffic by delivery vehicles that are making deliveries within the Canton Street neighborhood. And because most of the employees arrive, other than delivery van drivers, other employees to the site arrive in the late night and leave in the more early morning hours outside of peak hours, they don't believe that those drivers, those employees would be using this route to get to their work site unless they are coming from the area right around that, the Canton Street neighborhood. So that's in the traffic study. That's the response that we received from them. It is responsive to the questions we asked. The most important factors, I think, are that the original Norwood decision banned tractor trailers from taking a left onto Everett Street and going through Westwood. Amazon has agreed to allow that ban to not only apply to tractor trailers, but to all delivery vans as well, except for those making local deliveries. So that does assure us that the only traffic that we would then have to worry about really is the traffic that's going to and from the site by employees. We've heard from that the delivery drivers will arrive beginning at around 9:30 a.m. and continuing until the last shift leaves in the late morning, and that the flex drivers coming in their delivery vehicles will arrive sometime after 2 o'clock and probably be off the site, not to return by say 4:30. So we know the hours of expected arrival of employees. None of them are during the peak hours. We still do expect neighbors in the area to have some concerns and to be worried that there will be an excessive number of vehicles going down their streets. The traffic engineers assure us that that is not the case based on the number of employees they have and the hours that those employees are coming to the site. We also did speak to Amazon about a few things that we believe would help with this. One is that all employees will be trained with information that they should approach the site via University Avenue and not via Everett Street. The software to their GPS systems will be modified so that they will not have the option of going up Everett Street and through the Westwood area unless the delivery drivers are making local deliveries. The yard marshal will be watching the drivers and making sure that they adhere to the procedures. And Amazon has agreed to give us a contact person, cell phone number of a local person in charge at the site who can answer any questions and take action if we find that the drivers are not obeying these regulations.
Okay, I think the other large issue that we have heard a lot about is the concern about noise from the trucks. Is there any further development on any sort of mitigation around noise?
So when we had a meeting that we kept to an hour with 4 representatives of the neighborhood, and all of the discussion during that hour of time was focused on traffic. They didn't really get into much of a discussion of noise other than expressing concern about backup alarms. But we do believe that this is an important concern, especially to the Strasser Avenue neighbors, that we believe and we understand from correspondence we've received from those neighbors that they are particularly concerned with sound coming from the site. There was a temporary Amazon operation on this site. I believe it was in 2018 around the holiday season, and the neighbors found the noise to be excessive. They were especially concerned about the backup alarms and about key fob searches by employees for their cars. So we've been assured by Amazon that the yard marshal will prevent the excessive key fob searches, but we still will have the backup vehicle beeping to be concerned with. There's no way to turn those alarms off when tractor trailers need to back into the site, as well as when the recycling trucks need to retrieve the recycling materials from those docks at the back of the site. They will be backing up. And when they back up, there will be alarms. Those operations will occur in the hours when people are in their homes. They'll be in the overnight hours and the early morning hours. So there is a concern about sound, noise infiltrating the Strasser Avenue neighborhood and the Everett Street neighborhood. National Development has responded that they don't believe that sound level will be as significant as the previous one, the previous operation of the alcohol distribution site that was there. National Development pointed out that while Amazon expects to have 4 to 7 tractor trailers pulling in each evening, the alcohol warehouse was also a 24-hour vehicle, a 24-hour operation where they had about 36 vehicles a night performing maneuvers. One slight difference is those trucks didn't unload inside the building, they unloaded outside, but the turning and the operation of backing up, National Development has told us was similar. I'm sure there are neighbors that would like to comment on that and explain what their experience had been in the past with the alcohol distribution as well as with the temporary Amazon facility. I think we are at a point where we disagree as to whether the noise concerns will be properly addressed. But I will say that National Development has proposed some mitigation in the form of the planting of additional evergreen shrubs in the area of the property right behind the tractor trailer unloading areas. So that is something that they have proposed. We have spoken to neighbors who are interested in a more substantial noise barrier, something along the line of what you see along highways, a constructed barrier. I've seen other barriers in other places outside of Massachusetts where they use, I think they're called gabions, those stone cages that are very successful in preventing excessive noise from being transported from the area to the commercial area to the residential area. Those are very expensive fixes. So I think it will come down to a question of whether National Development and Amazon believe that the problem is as extensive as the neighbors believe, and there'll need to be some continuing discussion in that area.
Can I add one point, sorry, about the adding trees? One point is that this area right here is a wetland area, which you cannot put trees and you can't put any plantings in there because that's a federal or state wetland area. So you cannot put additional plantings, as what Nora was just mentioning. Just as a side note.
Would fencing even go in there?
No, it's a wetland that you can't disturb.
Yep.
And I'm sorry, that area backs up to Strasser?
Yes.
It does.
See right here? Strasser Ave right there. Can you see it there?
Michael, can you point the arrow to where the tree plantings are currently being planned?
It's really hard to see, but I believe it's right around here. I don't know exactly, Nancy, I'm sorry, but you can see all this dotted lines that's all wetlands.
Yeah.
My understanding was that National Development was proposing placing the trees in a row, extending essentially from Everett Street towards the front of the property and running along that pink area.
Yeah.
Right along there.
We can put them I think National said they're going to put them where they can by law, but anything that's inside this wetland, it's just not allowed by any protection agency.
So I think we're at a point where the board needs to review the noise concerns and determine what they believe is necessary and appropriate here. The other area that was initially thought to be a concern was light. And National Development submitted a photometric plan that clearly demonstrated that the light would not, neither light itself nor glare from the lights would leave the facility. The new light fixtures are preferable to the old ones. They're all night sky compliant and properly shielded. So I don't believe that light would be a continuing concern. So I think traffic and noise are the two concerns. And I believe that most of what Amazon has proposed tonight and in our meetings will address the traffic concerns, and a continual monitoring of that will be necessary. The noise concerns are the outstanding item that we're still.
And Nancy, there was another question sent to us today regarding how our drivers are checked for background checks and so forth. That was sent by someone in the town administration that I think Brad can probably answer pretty quickly.
Yeah, so we have each of our drivers has a safety protocol and driving program that they have to go through that has been rolled out fairly recently. They have to be licensed drivers in the state. They work with our third-party delivery service partners on that process. Each of the vehicles undergoes significant safety checks in the morning and in the evening prior to going out. The drivers are then vetted through that process. We also have our Relay app, which they may utilize and for tracking and safety purposes during the day. And then we have driver training programs, safety course, both video and discussion on training. And then we have regular training updates for the drivers every morning, or not every morning, but several mornings a week for the drivers on site with training tips and safety updates as well.
Okay, that's great. There are about 20 questions in the queue, and that was one of them, so that's great. And maybe between Nora and Michael, you can help some of these. The owner of the building, Nora, is National Development.
National Development, yes.
And they will continue to own the building.
Yes.
And much of the commentary that I've received is that when Amazon used this site for a temporary facility in 2018, 2019, that the noise was unbearable for a lot of people. Is this a different operation, and we expect different noise issues or less noise issues?
No.
Christopher, it will be a different operation for two primary reasons. One, what that was people just doing their vans. It was an offsite parking for another site. And so there was no, for lack of a better term, no management or on-site, as Brad said, a yard marshal there. So there is people there observing it. If you kind of think they were there for the first stage of dropping their vehicles off and getting in the vans and then driving over to Dedham, is what the process was. So where someone, I think one of the neighbors had said, yeah, it was waves of 20 vehicles all leaving at once. It's because that's, how they were setting up it to be picked up in Dedham. Where in this one, they're much more, there's on-site management, for lack of a better term, for that site. So they will be there, and there will also be, as Brad said, the yard marshals handing people the keys and directing them to their cars. So it's not the clicking beepers to make sure they find their specific van.
The idea of a yard marshal, is that something you've had in place in other locations and it's just now being applied for this one?
No, so this is something that, as we've realized and operated our sites, that we've come to the realization that we need for this purpose is to not only monitor the vans and the timing of the arrival and to help coordinate the in-site logistics, but also to help eliminate that noise component where the van drivers, especially once we became, sort of the branded Amazon vans, it became a situation where these van drivers, to find their vans, it took a little bit of time. To come to that realization. To give you an order of magnitude, we had 150 of these sort of operations throughout the U.S. over the last 5 years, and now we're effectively launching close to that many, each year going forward. And so there's a lot more resources. We've learned some tougher lessons from our previous sites. I think, as Michael said, this site was just a off-site lot for another facility. So there was no actual Amazon operations going on at the location. And the van drivers basically came in, they dropped off their cars. There was a lockbox for the keys. They would pick them up and then they'd walk around clicking it to find their van driver or to find their vans. And so now, with this being the on-site facility, the actual operations, not only will there be a yard marshal to be able to provide the keys to the drivers, but they're also going to have their own managers on site. So these facilities now will have an area in them for the third-party logistics companies that are running the van delivery routes. Their managers will be on site. So these drivers will be meeting with their managers, walking through their delivery routes with them. Their managers will be able to be on site to supervise the drivers. And so it helps to bring a little bit more order and efficiency and better quality of service and better quality of work to our delivery stations. So that's a significant difference than what was going on here 2 years ago.
I get that. So what I want to know is the yard marshal, it's not a new concept you're applying to the Dedham location. I think sounds like that's right. It's not.
So the Dedham location, the operations going on there have rolled out that process for the on-site there, and then pending the potential right sizing of that facility would be conducted in that facility as well on a larger level.
I'm focused on the yard marshal. You've had yard marshals elsewhere, other locations before Dedham. Yes? No?
Well, we're talking the Dedham operational site, or are you talking about this
Amazon,
location?
just Amazon.
Yes, we've utilized the yard marshal in other locations, yes.
So this is an employee that you will always have during your lease of this space there. What I'm concerned about is, it sounds like a nice concept, but I don't want it to go away after 6 months and you say, we don't want to pay that person anymore. Now it's going to become more random and noisier. I'm trying to understand if this is something that Amazon is building into their business model and will retain. So that's why I was asking if you've done it elsewhere. It would mean that you're applying it where you need to. I just want to be sure it's there.
Yes.
All the time.
Yes, the answer to that is we are using it in our facilities now to help with the coordination of the on-site parking lot across our last mile stations.
Mr. Chair, if I may?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick question for Michael and/or Brad, and forgive me, I forget which one may have said this. In previous meetings, we talked about the number of tractor trailers that would be arriving to the site on a daily basis. My notes from our prior conversations had anywhere between 7 and 8, up to 7 and 8. But I thought I heard 10 today.
You did.
So the 10 number is across the full 24 hours. So during the overnight period, we may have 4 to 7, and then there might be 1 to 3 during the day spread out. So that's sort of a high-end average number of what would come through. So during the overnight, it might be as low as 4 to 7, and then 1 to 3 during the day.
So I took just to be clear, Brad, the way I took our prior conversations, the 7 or 8 was a 24-hour period. But I'm hearing you now say you're going to have 10, up to 10 in that 24-hour period.
The 10 gets to the high end of the average. So the 10 would be during, say, the holiday period, our peak period at the end of the year. So that gets into the higher end of the year to provide that average number, where we're now at peak capacity. That is during a very small portion of the year, basically a short time before the Thanksgiving holiday through the end of the year period, when a large portion of our orders are done during the peak period of the year. And that would kind of encompass where that higher end number comes in at. So you might be looking at 4 during the bulk of the year, 7 at certain higher ends, and then 10 at the top end.
Okay, so let me just ask you a couple of more. So I'm getting a lot of questions in our queue, so forgive me for being a little all over the place. Some of the concern is around some of these drivers are non-employees. And I know this is not new to this site, but how do you deal with enforcement for those folks, ensuring they're adhering to your policies and procedures?
I'm sorry, it cut out for me. Could you repeat that?
So many of your drivers are third-party drivers or people that are not Amazon employees. And how do you deal with enforcement of those folks and those third-party operations?
Sure.
If they're not following the traffic restrictions that we put in place?
Sure. So from that standpoint, our third-party delivery service providers are vetted like any of our other, sort of vendors and contract employees. They need to meet the standards of Amazon. And what we've utilized in a lot of instances is, again, we've learned from some of the mistakes of other locations and instituted what amounts to a 3-strike policy, where if one of our third-party vendors is found to be, with traffic violations, employee conduct violations, anything that is not delivering on the customer service experience that we at Amazon are striving to complete and deliver for our customers and your constituents, we effectively are utilizing what amounts to a 3-strike policy, where the first is warning with additional training requirements for that employee or for that logistics company with the manager on site. A second strike is going to limit the amount of routes that logistics company or third-party vendor is allowed to have. And then the third strike is, effectively the termination of their contract with us as a delivery service partner.
And Nora, I do think are we using beta for any peer review of the traffic data?
We have not had beta peer review the traffic data. We've had beta provide the traffic counts that they have acquired over the years to Amazon and National Development's engineer, but beta has not peer reviewed the traffic analysis.
We could have them do it though if we needed to.
We could.
It's an option.
Order that.
Michael, what is the total number of employees at the facility?
I believe it's go ahead, Brad.
No, go ahead, Michael.
I believe it's going to be a little over total Amazon employees is probably close to maybe 100.
And then the third party, non-Amazon?
Probably close to maybe another 100, 150, depends on how many drivers there are per day.
And the restrictions we put on the Amazon employees would be applicable to the third-party drivers. We went over that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The traffic restrictions that we put on the Amazon vans and drivers would be applicable to the third-party drivers.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, so it is mostly same issues. Okay, and Brad and Michael, I do appreciate you coming on and helping us get through this. There is pending litigation, so obviously there's some things that we would refrain from discussing, probably safer for you and for us, as we try to work through getting to closure. But some of these I'm going to defer for now. Does anybody else have any thoughts or questions?
So I have a question. So why would you put the employees that come in at night in the back closest to homeowners?
So they're coming in their personal vehicles.
Correct. But it's closest to the homeowners and they're there midnight to 7.
So they're merely driving into the site, parking their cars and going into the location. So they're, from that standpoint, it's a fairly quiet activity. They're coming in, they're parking, they're walking in. It's also from a safety perspective for them to enter and exit the building. They're away from the vans, they're away from the 18-wheeler tractor trailers. From a safety perspective, that is the safest area for them to come into. It's also within the building where the office component, the small office component that they would come in, get checked in at, and then begin their shift. It also is at that side of the building where the conveyance system would bring the bulk of the packages across to for staging the delivery vehicles. So it gets into an alignment of the operations of the building.
It just seems, Brad, that the neighbors were like an afterthought based on the development of the plan, because let's face it, they're the ones that are going to have to put up with the noise, right? They're not working there at home. They're going to have to put up with the noise, and to put private vehicles closest to them where it'd be unregulated, there won't be any yard manager there out the back. Seems to me that would be probably the loudest.
But again,
Michael,
these are just personal vehicles. They're driving their cars into the lot, parking and walking into the building. There are no vans back there. They're not getting into vans. There's no beeping. There's no trying to find the locations. It's just a car driving onto a parking lot and parking there.
And the other point, Michael, is if you put vans back there, it'd be louder. They'd be parking, as Brad said, they're coming back at 10, 11, but around 10 o'clock at night. So you would have you're either way, I don't think you don't solve what the problem you're discussing. Either they're coming in right when people are going to bed, dropping their vans off at night. Either way, it's going to be a vehicle back there. I'm not sure. And then they leave, and then the employees leave at 8, 9 in the morning or after that. So it's only a one-time thing, one time a night. Either way, if you put vans back there, you'd have something moving back there.
I'm sorry. It seems Pat, you may have been on mute if you were speaking.
You're on mute, Pat. Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Gentlemen, are you doing anything with public transportation, like encouraging people to use the intermodal station down at the beginning of University Ave and running a shuttle bus to reduce the number of cars going in and out of that facility?
So our associates primarily come onto the site during the evening period, as we just discussed. I'm not sure if the local train station runs at that late of an hour with them coming onto the site after midnight. So I would just ask the selectman if he is aware of whether or not the trains run. If the trains are running at that late a time, we have done certain sponsorships with the train stations at all locations. Like, for instance, the one in Dedham, we have a shuttle service that runs to and from the local station there, because they do have stops in the evening period and in the morning that allow our associates to be able to come on and off of the site via that location there closest to Dedham. So I would just, we would need to know, I'm not as familiar with the rail station there closest to this location and whether or not it runs through the evening period. But we have done that sort of program in the past and currently.
Tish, is it possible for us to save the questions that have come in? I don't know enough about Zoom.
Yeah, let me look into it. Let me see.
But we have, they fall into a couple of buckets, but I would like to save them if we can. This episode of waiting to screenshots.
I can do.
So Michael and Brett, I mean, I do appreciate you coming on. Obviously, I think, as you know, we, found out about this after the fact. So we're just trying to play a little catch up and protect the, quiet enjoyment of the people who abut this property, all of whom are very, very concerned. We're going to be in executive session later on talking about this impending litigation around this. So I think we've heard you. We appreciate the presentation, and I expect that we'll be talking again soon.
We appreciate your time here, Mr. Chair, and the rest of the board. Town planner, thank you all for your time. And again, we're happy to continue answering any of the questions that you may have for us.
With that, I think I'll wrap it up. Nancy, Michael, anything? Nora?
Just to echo
Good.
Brad's thanks for letting us speak to you guys tonight, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
Agreed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to move on to new business. We're going to talk about the Green Communities Act. So I know we still have a number of people online. We've captured the questions, and we're going to work on the best way to get answers and updates out. And with that, we will move on. Chris, do you want to talk a little bit about the Green Communities Act, a grant? You're on mute.
Sorry. I'm sorry. Tish was going to speak to this.
Oh, perfect. Sorry.
Well,
Well, let me say we can both speak to this. Excuse
All
me.
right. I mean, I can read what you wrote. I just didn't know.
No,
Yeah.
hold on. Tom
It's-
Philbin is here. Let me get Tom on.
Okay.
I'm getting all the questions, so.
Oh,
Tom's
thank you.
just coming on, so let me grab all these questions.
Mr. Chair, just to give you an overview, this was a grant that Tom Philborn, our energy manager, and our energy manager and Tish worked on. This is regarding the HVAC work, or some of the HVAC work to be done at the Thurston Middle School, and the fact that the town was awarded with a $100,000 grant for this application that was submitted.
And so, Tom, do you want to add a little color to this?
You're on mute, Tom. Tom,
There we
you're,
go.
there you are.
Yeah, no, this is an annual thing, and this is the 6th consecutive competitive win that we've had. We're limited now. We're being penalized for our past successes. That originally you could get up to $250,000 a year. Now they've limited anybody who's gotten over 200,000 to no more than 100,000 a year.
I wanted to get that.
So we're getting the 100,000 a year now, and that's the most recent grant. Thurston is we're slowly but surely doing replacing 48 different unit ventilators at Thurston. That's the entire ventilation, heating, air conditioning system that's over there. And we're also going to be, for the first time, able to do some development on controlling the air quality based on COVID requirements that are coming out as well. So this is a real timely grant. And the fact that we're changing all of these unit ventilators is going to make the air quality in the school far superior to what it's ever been before.
That's great, Tom. Thank you. I know this is great that you get this every year. Thank you for all your effort.
And Tish.
Okay.
And Tish. And Tish.
Yeah.
And
And the
Chris.
team. But yeah, Tom, that's wonderful news to continue to receive funding with being as successful as we have been. I'm glad the state is doing that and allowing us to continue to invest this way in our infrastructure. So congratulations.
All right, it's a good thing. As I say, we have a total of 3 major projects. Thurston is one. We have another one where we're replacing all the HVAC and the controls and the heating and the air delivery systems, and we're doing also an air cleaning project at the Council on Aging. And then in Town Hall, we're going to replace all of the heating and air conditioning on the upper floor as a step 1. So that's the goals for this year before this end of the year. All right.
That's great. Do we need a motion on that?
Yes,
Yes,
do?
to
Oh.
accept the
to
grant.
accept the grant.
Oh, that's the form. I don't remember doing that in the past.
We haven't, so.
Okay, I move we accept the 2020 Green Communities Grant of $100,000 for a new unit ventilator classroom heating and ventilation system at our Thurston Middle School.
I'll second.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you, Tom, and thank you, Tish.
Welcome.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right. And
Okay,
I
our
was able to
next.
capture the questions, so we
Oh,
have
that's
them all.
good.
All right.
Yeah, because I'd like to get back to those folks. This next item is to authorize the town administrator to expend funds from a special revenue account. My understanding of this, Chris, thanks, is that we've received the final payment on the cell phone tower at Morrison and the flagpole. So we're just looking now to kind of formalize next steps.
Yes, that is the final payment for the current terms of the lease, which expires 2025.
And I know Pam was going to join us. I don't know if you saw the email, but she could not join us. I think this is more ministerial. I don't have any issues. I don't know, Michael and Nancy, if you do.
Nope, this is fine.
No, I'm okay.
Okay, I move that we authorize the town administrator to approve expenditures from the cell tower funds account until the account is, I'll say, depleted, not completed. I think our wording in our package says completed, but I'll call it depleted.
I'll second.
Okay, Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you both. Okay, we're on to the fall 2020, to the 2020 fall town meeting discussion. Chris, we had talked last time about querying the department heads and the school department. My understanding is all are good with foregoing the fall town meeting. The planning board has a few items, but could delay if needed. No urgency. Is that your understanding as well?
Yes, we spoke with the department heads as well as the school department, and that's our understanding. That's the feedback that we received back.
So I don't have a problem with foregoing, Michael and Nancy. I don't know if you have any issues. I also think too, it's going to be a big lift for the town clerk and town staff to get the general election going in November. So I'm actually somewhat relieved not to have it.
Let's just say Dottie Powers would be very relieved. She's been working so hard, doing so much to oversee these elections with her team and her personally. I can't even begin to imagine the number of hours she's putting in. And it just, we talked about this at our last meeting. There's no compelling reason, because we do have state support in maintaining the state aid funding, which was critical and is allowing us to work our way through this budget year without needing to go back to a town meeting in the fall. So with that being resolved, I'm happy we don't have to have a fall town meeting, and I support us voting to cancel it.
If I could just expand on that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to expand that. For those who may have heard other discussions with the select board, there was talk about the possibility of a fall town meeting, and the basis of that was regarding state funding. But as Ms. Hyde has indicated, the state funding, state aid has come in level funded. So we're very confident regarding the funds that we have to move forward with the existing appropriation that was made at the June town meeting.
Yeah.
I think it's also important to note that even if we agreed to have one, it doesn't mean we could still have one.
Well,
right.
We'd have to go outside again at this point.
Right.
That's what's being done in Needham, I believe. Chris, you may have heard too. They were voting 2 or 3 weeks ago to have early October Sunday town meeting.
Yes, and they're planning on,
Outdoors.
They're having outdoors as well.
Outdoors, yeah. So that's, anyway, I'm happy to make a motion. You ready, John?
Sure, yeah,
Okay.
all set.
So I move that we officially vote to cancel the November 2020 fall town meeting and order that notice of our decision with regard to this meeting be posted in accordance with Chapter 2, Section 6-1, the business session of the town meeting of the town charter.
I'll second.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. Thank you both. That is a relief. We have one set of meeting minutes from August 3rd, 2020. I had no edits. I don't know if either of you did.
I did not.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I move we approve the regular session minutes from the August 3rd, 2020 meeting.
I'll second.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. Okay, I'm looking in the queue, Tish, and it appears that all of the questions were related to our last discussion.
Yes, they were.
Okay, so I'm going to move on. Our next meeting will again be on a Tuesday. It will be Tuesday, September 29th, 2020 at 5 p.m. It will again be via a Zoom meeting. At this time, the board will be going into executive session to discuss two issues. One is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to an ongoing litigation. And the second is pursuant to General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 22F and G, to comply with any general law for review of executive session minutes, both of which would have a detrimental effect on the position of the governing body if discussion were an open session. The board will not be returning to open session. These two items are: one, the Amazon warehouse issue at 732 750 Everett Street, Norwood. And the second is to review executive session meeting minutes from May 4th, 2020 and June 23rd, 2020.
I move we go into executive session for the aforementioned reasons.
Second.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
I vote aye as well. So at this time, I'll take a motion to adjourn our regular meeting.
I move we adjourn into executive session.
Second.
Mrs. Hyde,
Aye.
Mr. Walsh,
Aye.
and I vote aye as well. So thank
Mr.
you, everybody.
Mr.
Oh, sorry.
Chairman,
Yes,
procedural point, we're adjourning into executive session. You will not be coming back into public session, correct?
correct. We will be adjourning into executive session and not returning to open session this evening. The next time we will meet as a board will be on Tuesday, September 29th at 5 p.m.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.